It was the St. Lawrence Antique Gas and Steam Engine Association. It started out with just a crew of guys collecting the old one-lunger engines, and then that morphed into tractors and equipment. It was more fun to run an engine if it ran a machine of some sort, and whether it was a tractor or a washing machine, it made it much more fun.
In those days, we had no home base, so to speak. We met at different places. We met in Louisville, Lisbon, and different places until we got a little more settled. There wasn't no main collection, so to speak, of at the time. It was everybody's own equipment that they brought in.
In 2004, we finally completed the paperwork and got our old engine club incorporated as the Power and Equipment Museum. Two main shows, the Antique Gas and Steam Engine Show and our second full weekend of June, although it's not just gas and steam engines anymore. And then the fall one on Labor Day weekend, that's old-fashioned Harvest Days exhibition. Then in between, we have our regular openings, second and fourth Saturdays for the public.
Our membership is just under 1,000 members total. A lot of them are from all over, but they like to be members that kept up with Roger's newsletters. And a lot of them have stuff that they would like to donate just to see it put out where people can appreciate it and see it. And try and get the younger generation to understand how life was prior to today.
Well, I think one of the essential elements of the museum is that we really work quite hard to make the members feel that they're still a member of a club, not so much a member of a museum, although they're very proud of the museum. A lot of the administrative aspects of its operation runs in the background, and their concern is more with what you see, and that's, I think, a lot of why it's more than being committed. It's kind of heart and soul commitment on their part. They can focus on what's important.
The town of Madrid has been real kind to us, too.
Outstanding, really, support.
And the businesses have been generous, incredibly so.
I think part of it is the fact that friendship. It's the people that get together and have a good time. You work your own hours and you can enjoy yourself, relax. We have to have tea time around 3 o'clock and just the enjoyment of it. There's more people willing to work if all you gotta do is ask them. With the tractor barn down here, Burns put up the construction. We had a very good donation from R&S Roofing in Governor, and they gave us the roof. And I called Kern about getting some logs, and he gave us a truckload, and Jimmy Mitchell and our own sawmill, which we got set up, sawed all the logs up. Different volunteers come in, help stain it. They'd all come in the afternoon. We just have a good time, picking on each other, laughing, and telling bad stories about every other one. And they'd go on for hours. And when we had enough, we quit and go home. Remember having a good time.
The kids enjoy it, but the older generation, somebody come up and say, "Boy, I run one of them when I was, some 80-year-old said, I ran one of them when I was a kid, and he's glad to see it run again,
Over the last 12 years, the museum's mission has evolved into a simple message.
To preserve the history of how technology, new inventions and such, help shape the lives of people in the North Country. Nobody appreciated invention more than folks living out here.
Well, I was 13, my other brother was 15, and the oldest brother was 17 when we started. We played the Grange Halls, mostly Grange Halls then, because that's all that was actually active. But then when the Grange Halls kind of run out, then we started in the real world, I call it. And they had VFWs and Legions, wedding receptions, barbecues, whatever. Been doing it ever since. I think my mom was our inspirer. She played the fiddle and she played the piano. And of course we listened to this all the time. We were at home on the farm, and I think that's how we got started, really.
There used to be something called house parties, and a lot of the farm families and rural communities, all the neighbors would get together on Saturday nights. There were no big public dances to go to way back then. They would each host a Saturday night, so somebody could play the piano. I think my grandmother courted on the piano, and then there was a guy who came in and played fiddle, and some guy that played guitar, and they would do square dancing and just have a lot of fun. And my father and his two brothers would just sit around and watch what was going on, and they were taken by it. And so some of the old timers apparently knew all these square dance calls, and where they picked them up, I think, is just by assimilation. The Adirondack Playboys started because the band was performing at the foothills of the Adirondack. One of the most popular bands in the late 40s was Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys. They just liked the sound of that, the Texas Playboys, because they played Playboys. So they decided to call themselves the Adirondack Playboys, and it stuck.
Today, the Adirondack Playboys, consisting of original member Cliff Streeter, his nephews Rick and Dale, his niece Shelley, and local drummer Rick Petrie, play for parties, public concerts, barn dances, VFWs, and American Legions throughout Oneida, Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties.
I got 76 fiddles hanging in my house. My dad collected violins. He'd get them from garage sales and antique places. And if they were broken up, he'd fix them up, hang them up on a wall. And I think his collection was 62 or 3. And then whatever else is there is what I got. Plus, I'm making some of my own now. So I think there's 17 of them that I've done. So
how long have you been doing that?
Probably 15 years ago, maybe. Those first 2 mountain violin things I made, they looked like teardrop. No, it would have been, I can tell you when it was. Those 2 I made in 89, because I gave one of them to Dad. I made one acoustic violin, actually 2, but one that turned out really well.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's heard of a Stradivarius. This is the Streetervarius.
We have a lot of followers, original people that follow us. We pick up some new ones sometimes too. One night at Evans Mills, we had 163 people. That's a large crowd for one night to dance.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretty much been around. They know what they're doing. Yes.
Them and their kids
Yeah.
that are growing up now.
Some bring the
That's great,
families,
yeah.
and the kids will learn to dance and do. So it's nice.
It seems like there's more younger ones that are starting to come into it more now than they were there for a while. But
In fact, it seems like there's more folks that are maybe in the age range of 30 to 50 as opposed to 70 to 80 anymore.
Yeah.
There's like a slightly younger generation of people that are coming, and they all like the traditional old-time country sound.
They have a fit if we take a weekend off. They have withdrawal, some of them.
We're the only people
Our
you're going to
mom
find
has
that does this.
withdrawals
So,
because
I
she
mean,
can't
that's-
be to a dance.
I think we've been blessed to stay playing like we have. I mean, I just can't. I still sometimes find it hard to believe that I've been playing since I was 18 years old in the band, so to speak, and yet we still are in demand because we keep, the family stays with it, and we just continue to do what we know how to do, and people appreciate that. People want that. I don't even see it ever dying. I mean, if we just quit playing right now, I got a feeling there'd be an uproar with some of our friends and people. I don't know what's the secret to it.
I struggle so bad when she's not playing. We're just
And I struggle wicked bad when he's
we're just like spaghetti and meatballs or macaroni and cheese. We belong together, So I know exactly what she's gonna do, and she knows exactly what I'm doing. So
Yeah, you don't have to think.
it's just so fluid. It's great.
I think the main thing was we got along. If we didn't get along, I would have went kapooey. But we got along and things worked out, and that's why we're here today, I guess.
And come September, we'll all remember, our 4-H friendships far and near. And as the years go by, we'll stop and think and sigh. It's just good night and not goodbye.
4-H Camp Overlook, located in Mountain View, New York, was built around 1910 as a private camp. After being run as a hotel for a brief time, the 4-H clubs of Franklin and St. Lawrence counties jointly bought the property in 1945 and began running a summer camp. The two counties operated the camp separately starting in 1946, but came back together in 1988 and collaborated their management efforts.
And today we serve about 850 youth a summer, and probably 90, is it safe to say, Casey, that around 96 to 98% are not enrolled in a 4-H club, but are not in 4-H. But it still serves the lion's share of the campers come from Franklin and St. Lawrence County.
The camp offers 25 widely varied classes for campers ages 8 to 19, and all campers contribute to the camp's functioning by completing chores daily.
Every day had its flow and its routine, and that was the same year to year, which was very comforting. And it was simple. It wasn't overdone. You weren't pampered. It was just very simple, basic fun.
I've never, and maybe this happens at all summer camps and it's not unique to Camp Overlook, but it is the most socially accepting and positive environment I've ever experienced in my life. It's very all-inclusive. People are kind and thoughtful to each other. You don't see cliques develop. Everybody's in everyone's group, and people are going above and beyond to introduce themselves and get to know one another. And I don't think you see that everywhere. When I went as a camper, there was folks who wouldn't necessarily have spoken to me at school, who were dear friends once we were at camp together, and it was just something about the atmosphere that was created there.
I liked camp stew night. One night for dinner, you would go with your tribe, and every tribe had a location assigned to them, and you would go out and you would make camp stew over an open fire, and you'd have s'mores. And I remember just loving all the food and getting up early. That's another tradition that is common there. The polar bear swim. The talent show, that was always a standard evening activity.
I love that they give everyone swimming.
I always loved Vespers. So that's at night, the whole camp congregates around a campfire, and either there's a guest to tell stories or you sing songs or both.
How many years have you guys been coming to camp?
This is my first time, but I love it.
It's my second year. You've been here how many years?
First.
This is your first?
Second.
First.
Yeah.
So this is your first year, your first day here?
Actually, the second.
First full day?
First full day, yeah.
Okay.
So far, it's awesome. I just love everything here. It's awesome. I can't wait to get to arts and camp run and play and
archery.
swim.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm really excited about because last year I did arts and we got to make like a bunch of
we made
really
like
cool
paper
things.
mache.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I got a letter from a dad once. This young lady was actually a counselor at the time, but she'd been coming all of her life. And he said, it appeared that her growth and maturation would stand still all year long, and then she'd come to camp and spend her week at camp, and it was as if she did all her growing for the whole year in 1 week. It's very powerful from a standpoint of a child's development of self-resilience, responsibility, and maturity. And yet, the whole time, you're just having a blast, and you're laughing, and you're carrying on, and you're being silly the whole week, and yet somehow you're growing.
It's your escape from the rest of the world.
I guess it all started right after World War I. I'm sort of the first baby boomer crew. I was born in 1946, and I was born on Long Island because that's where my mother was from, but within 6 weeks I was up in the North Country. So I grew up in Ogdensburg, and we had a manufacturing facility there that has expanded a little over the years here. It's mind-boggling, actually, but it's that, that's my economic base is from the Newell company, and I would say I'm a fortunate son. It's allowed me to do what I do. Get a lot of pleasure out of it, and there's certainly a lot of need in the North Country. We had a lot of, I won't say we had art around the house, but we had a lot of books. And, I took a history of art course in college. It was. I found it interesting. That's where I first started to get a feeling for art. As I say, I'm fortunate to be able to do this stuff, but I think over the years I've been able to, acquire a sense of taste and beauty, and been interested in art and art of the North Country.
We want to recognize the many ways in which he has contributed to conservation of local traditions. And you work very closely with him. So what are some of the things you see that Allan does in that way?
Well, the first thing I would say is saving the barns, recognizing that they are never to be again, and bringing them back just the way they were before.
Well, it's like part of it is there's a beauty to the dying North Country, and saving some of these buildings I find rewarding. It's good for the community, and it's set an example. I've been also involved in environmental groups. So, I guess I was always an activist. When Vietnam rolled around, I was a activist. I was involved in the formation of Save the River, an environmental group here, and the Thousand Island Land Trust. I was on the board for a long time with them, and of course St. Lawrence and the Potsdam College Foundation, and TAUNY.
Oh yeah, TAUNY, yes.
And I've got my own private foundation now that they don't. I always knew it was a special place, but you just sort of take it for granted after a while. I'm sort of becoming more aware that I shouldn't be taking it for granted. It's fun. There's a lot of beauty. I've seen a lot, and you have too, I'm sure. A lot of the beautiful North Country architecture just go down, and the barns go down. And I think all the work that went into building those barns, and all the work that went into filling them up with hay and milking the cows, and everything gets consolidated into bigger. And it's the same thing with the problems with these smaller communities. It's the mom and pop stores are driven out of business by people willing to drive to Augsburg and shop down there.
And then the boats, oh my gosh, the boats. He does a lot with restoring the skiffs, and he's gotten now where he has a reputation for it, and somebody will call him and say, I have this skiff that's been in the barn 40 years, I don't know if it's worth anything, and he'll come home and he'll go, he'll just be so excited, because that's the way that he likes to find them, is in good shape, as found shape, he calls it.
In 2013, Allan and a group of local craftsmen began renovating an old chapel in Hammond, built in 1909, where visiting Protestant preachers held services for the community. After that, it was used as a granary and a seasonal residence, and by 2015, the group had transformed it into the Chippewa Bay Maritime Museum. It houses several exhibits, including antique St. Lawrence skiffs and canoes, a Henry Rushton rowboat, navigational lights, vintage boat motors, and hand-painted mini paddles, once sold as souvenirs in river communities. Most of these items come from Allan's personal collection. He says the museum is a way of keeping memories alive and appreciating what we have.
The fact that he collects river paintings, his home is just, I don't know if you've been there, but it's just beautiful with these river paintings, from unknowns to our more famous to artists. It's like a gallery in there.
Yeah, bringing together a lot of the regional artifacts that could get dispersed to the winds, right?
Right.
They could go hither and yon. But
that's right.
He sort of brought them all back home and together in
It's
a way.
the Allan Newell collection. It's something to see.
Allan's a great guy. I'm not just saying that because he's my boss. He is a really cool guy. I've learned a lot from him. He works right alongside of us, which is pretty cool. Attention to detail is his specialty. He does everything the correct way. It's really fun learning from him, and this job is really fun.